if it turns out at some later stage that Jay didn't wander off into the countryside and that there is some deeper, darker, other reason for his disappearance, then it's highly likely that the Guardia Civil will be hugely embarrassed and will come in for an enormous amount of criticism. But for the time being, we'll have to let them follow their theory and wait and see if they manage to prove that they were right all along. And with each and every passing day, I think the likelihood of this story having a happy ending becomes less and less likely, sadly. The disappearance of Jay Slater has created a huge amount of conversations online and in the real world also. But I think the Guardia Civil are conducting their search based on facts, the things that we know to be true. And that is, his phone had run out of battery power. It had gone dead flat. He didn't have any water with him or any other fluids to sustain him. And he was in an area that was fundamentally unknown territory to him. I believe that those factors are why we're seeing the Guardia Civil searching the rocky terrain, the outcrops, the outbuildings that seem to be very remote and possibly unoccupied, because they will be sticking to facts rather than joining in with the conspiracy theories, the gossip and the rumours. It's now over a week since Jay went missing, and with each and every passing day, I think the likelihood of this story having a happy ending becomes less and less likely, sadly. I wasn't surprised that the Spanish police rejected the offer of assistance from Lancashire police. Policing around the world is all about control. For example, they control crowds at demonstrations and at football matches and at other major events. They control crime scenes, witnesses, suspects, investigations, and they're supposed to control each other. So the minute another police force or law enforcement agency gets involved in an investigation, you lose control of it. You lose complete control of that investigation. And I'm sure that is why the Guardia Civil said to Lancashire, no thank you, and they've kept this investigation entirely to themselves. Besides, Lancashire police do not exactly have a glittering reputation when it comes to searching for missing people. After all, it was members of the public that found Nicola Bulley and not Lancashire police. Of course, if it turns out at some later stage that Jay didn't wander off into the countryside and that there is some deeper, darker, other reason for his disappearance, then it's highly likely that the Guardia Civil will be hugely embarrassed and will come in for an enormous amount of criticism. But for the time being, we'll have to let them follow their theory and wait and see if they manage to prove that they were right all along. I'm not in the slightest bit interested in media grabbing celebrity investigators who have only been in the police for relatively the blink of an eye, poking their noses in. I think at the moment, in a case such as this, it is best for all people concerned to stay away, let the police do what they've got to do, unless they specifically ask for assistance. And then, and only then, if they do, act in according with their instructions. I strongly suggest that anybody else that wants to get involved keeps their noses out of it and only goes out to Tenerife and assists the police if and when asked. Some people's ambition outstrips their abilities, and in those kind of cases, it's really not very helpful. Apparently, a fireman has said that he finds the disappearance of Jay strange. Well, I suggest he sticks to fighting fires or carrying out searches for missing people. There may be at some point an occasion when the police change tack and go down another line of investigation. And of course, were that to happen, and I emphasise were that to happen, there could be criticism that they did not cover all options, which is what should happen with any investigation. Never rule anything out. But for the time being, as they focus on the rough terrain, the countryside, I think we should allow them to get on with doing their job and wait and see if and when they deliver a result, however tragic that may be. There's been a huge raft of speculation, gossip, rumour, and complete and utter claptrap spoken on various social media platforms. The officer leading this hunt needs to block all of that out, be absolutely impervious to the nonsense, much of which has come from people who have sat in their armchair, watched 2 episodes of Vera, and suddenly thinks they're experienced and qualified detectives when they fundamentally are not. The police have to stick to the facts as they know them, keep the nonsense out of their ears, and just get on with their job. One of the benefits, if Lancashire police did get involved, is that they would probably allocate a family liaison officer to Jay's family. And if that family liaison officer was fluent in Spanish, that would be of huge benefit. We'll have to wait and see if the Guardia Civil review their decision not to accept assistance from Lancashire police. And quite frankly, we'll just have to sit tight, wait, look, listen, and see what pans out over the forthcoming days.